Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Welcome to the Rafa Benitez sacked reaction. A day we were all hoping would come has finally come, not without dragging us through the mud and putting us through some serious pain this season so far. Joined by Terry and Owen, we're going to run the rule over Benitez's ill-fated brain at Everton. Where do we start, Terry?
Anyone with anyone with any kind of idea could have predicted this one, but yeah.
Oh yeah, but just talking about Farhad Bashiri.
I didn't think he'd be Owen Coyle reimagined like that. To be fair, but
yeah. Just play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I wasn't against him coming in the first, because I thought I looked at it on a purely football level and just thought, well, he's a pragmatic coach who, he puts defence first, etc. And I thought, well, that going from Carlo Ancelotti to Benitez isn't a very jarring change. Whereas we've had, progressive front foot managers, and then we've gone to defence. Going from Allardyce to Silva, for example, was completely different. Whereas Ancelotti has had more talented turds than Benitez will ever be, but they aren't drastically different in terms of their approach on paper. But then also, I'm a little bit of a romantic in the sense of I quite liked the idea that imagine he comes in and does well, and then he's this, we take to him, and he's the only figure in football who ever did well at both Everton and Liverpool, and he'd be one of those people. And it was very pie in the sky, I know, but I liked that idea. So I had
that in mind too. I thought that, especially after
he must have been pissed, honestly.
Well,
he must have been having a few bevies when you were thinking that.
Well,
maybe,
where it changed is when the reality sunk in that it's not just about what the on the pitch stuff with Rafa Benitez. He's an absolute horror, shit stirrer, trouble causer off the pitch. Goes into clubs, starts elbowing people out, starts getting rid of people, starts feeding the press things about other people at the club, and that's what he's done. This absolute myth who drew a Champions League final 17 years ago. And had one of England's greatest ever players get him 2 trophies. Literally, he's walked into the club. He's been there 6 months. He's elbowed out the scouting department, the director of football, the head physio, as if he's. I don't understand that at all, because it's not like the injuries have stopped. They've actually got worse. He got rid of one of our top 3 or 4 players at the club, and really popular, signed a new contract in February. He got rid of James Rodriguez, whatever you think of him. It was like, we didn't want to play for us. Well, that's funny, isn't it?
That's not true.
Player who's had issues. Yeah, it's not true, but it is issues with Benitez in the past. Benitez walks in the door, and then if he's out straight away. Luca Dean, it's just absolutely. I'm not saying Everton were perfect before he got here, but he's walked in, been here 6 months, took us close to the relegation zone. He's got Liverpool fans singing his name while after he's been sacked and after Derby. Fair play, fair game. We've put ourselves in that position, but it's like, what were we doing? Why did we bring this absolute chancer, this charlatan, into the club? It's not like he's just come off the back of a really good. He was in China.
Then he got the most expensive team in China relegated.
Yeah, he was in China. He'd done the same level of job at Newcastle as he'd done at Steve Bruce had done, and he got lambasted as being crap. Walks in here, he gets about 4 or 5 good results at the start, and then that's it. The wheels come off, and he doesn't win. He wins 1 game in 13. He's absolutely shocking. He's causing trouble. He's talking shite in press conferences, and then all the merry men in the press will go, it's because he's an ex-Liverpool boss. They won't be like it.
We've already had it. You want to hear this? This is the best one. I've just heard Peter Crouch just saying that's the only reason.
Yeah. No. Thanks, Peter. We'll come to you again next time, shall we?
Yeah, apparently, the only reason we wanted them sacked is because us Everton fans thought Liverpool fans were laughing at us.
Well, they were laughing
but they're laughing at us because we're so shite.
Because we'd won 1 game in 13. It's like, I don't care who you're at, any manager in this league. goes 13 games and only wins 1 and loses 9, I think it was, they're getting sacked. Don't care if you Klopp, Guardiola. If you go on a run like that, you're finished. So,
Especially when you're Everton.
It's because he's ex-Liverpool. He's a made man in the British press because he gave Liverpool the greatest night in their history. And a lot of the press are made up of Liverpool fans, so they're never going to say anything bad about him because, frankly, Everton aren't important enough in their view to warrant criticising the special fucking manager. So I'm glad he's gone. The air is cleaner around Goodison, but I swear to God, the damage he's done. Now that we're looking for a new manager, there's loads of infrastructure that he's ripped out. We've allowed him to get rid of so many people at the club and get rid of one of our better players and then sacked him a couple of days after he was sold. Luca Dean must think, I wish I'd have just stayed now and just held out because he would have gone anyway. Actually, he might not because Aston Villa might be a better environment for him. But I swear to God, this has been Mashiri's biggest mistake. But it's one thing to bring in unsuitable managers. It's another to bring in a poison pill who goes around dismantling the club. You would literally believe, and I said it from the start, that he's solidifying his Liverpool legend status by going in and absolutely wrecking Everton. He'll be back doing Liverpool charity nights in a few months' time, where they all have they're all having dinner and he'll do a talk afterwards and he'll have a little line about how he managed so many big clubs in his career, but Liverpool were the one who had his heart. He also managed some small clubs and they'll all be laughing and we'll be the butt of the joke because this Liverpool hero went in and took Everton from a 59-point team to being minus 59 points at the rate he was going.
For me, and I've said this, it's a line I've been using quite a lot in the past week, is that Rafa Benitez is the worst manager to ever manage Everton. As a job he's done, as a body of work he's done at Everton, it's been so bad. You couldn't even possibly begin to write it. He's come into a football club that I'm not going to say was perfect last summer because when Carlo left, we were all really worried about the season coming up and what we're going to do with this, that and the other. But he's come in and he's just he's like the light bulb switch that's been switched on to make us all realise we're Sunderland. That his presence has done that. He's sacked a bloke who was the head of medical services at the football club, who was loved by the fans, loved by the players, had a great working environment at the football club, and he sacked him because he disagreed with him, because he was trying to tell him how he and only he does things. Rafa Benitez, it's always about Rafa Benitez and his ego and his days of Valencia, because that's how, when he did things in Valencia, that's how everyone should do it. He's got rid of James Rodriguez, who was not someone who was forcing to move from Everton, not someone who was dying to leave, as people like to paint the picture.
Yeah, people get that twisted. It may have made financial sense for him to go even without Benitez. It may have been better for all parties. No one is saying that it was a player who was clinging onto the carpet when he was getting forced out. But this wasn't a James Rodriguez engineered move. It just wasn't.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
It was made clear to him straight away that he wasn't welcome anymore. So what's he going to do? He had to leave, and so much creativity has gone out the team by losing him. And now Luca Dean and the other fella who, can't blame Benitez for the other number 10, but on that.
We'll skate over him. James goes on, like to echo everything Terry's just said, we lose a ridiculous amount of games, and he's got a terrible win record at Everton. I think with rivals the likes of Mike Walker and such like, we're in a relegation battle where we're still skinned. That we've never been more divided. We're having to go at the owner on a regular basis due to his back channeling like he always does, and we are just such a mess. And we got rid of Luca Dean because he and only he didn't want him at the football club. And yeah, it's an absolute nightmare, and it's all Farhad Mashiri's making, and it's all before that Bill Kenwright's making, because they're the ones who run the football club and have run the football club during the club's most unsuccessful period. And when you have people like that running the football club, Rafa Benitez is the product of it. And ultimately now we're even a terrible state after there was a glimmer of hope. We knew the football club wasn't well run, and we've known it for a long time. But Carlo Ancelotti was the glimmer of hope. He was like, if he can sort it, the problems from outside might just start going away. Obviously, Carlo saw through them all and decided to leave to go to Real Madrid and won his first trophy on the day we sacked Rafa Benitez, by the way, which was very apt, let's just say. And we were left in a position now where what on earth do we do? He's been horrific, Benitez, and continues and will probably replace me other best mate Eddie Howe in Newcastle, and they'll just have a big laugh about at my expense in a few months when Rafa Benitez is at Newcastle and Eddie Howe's in the press saying, how unfair he's been dealt with. But, I'll probably get the Everton job, won't he, eventually? He's probably 8th in line for the throne or something. But no, it's been horrific under Benitez, and I'm glad his tenure's over. It's been terrible. He's not understood the needs of the team. He's not got results. He's not even put on the display where people go, you know what, we've had a go and this, that and the other, and we can't defend. But
there was nothing tangible. There was nothing you could look at and go, well, the results aren't coming, but that's because he hasn't got the players or the injuries. There was nothing you could point to and go, you know what, you can see what he's trying to do there, but he hasn't. Like, when new managers come in and they need time, you can always see what they're attempting, and they're just not pulling it off. Whereas with Benitez, there's nothing to point at and go, well, that was good. What about that? Like, if we were, say, we were really, really strong in defence, and we never conceded a set piece from a set piece or anything like that, you could then turn around and say, well, he just hasn't got the strikers because Calvert-Lewin's injured. He hasn't got the goals, but corners against us were as good as conceding penalties. If I was an opposition team, I'd rather get a corner than a pen. And the attacking, we can score goals, but it was always Damari Gray. It's a great striking, or Andros Townsend gets one. It was never like good passages of play or anything like that. It wasn't. There was nothing you could grab onto and say, here's the case for the defence, here's the case for Rafa Benitez. It was always in spite of him if ever we did anything.
But the nice play and everything, that's great. And the strong defence, great, and the passage of play. In the end, we weren't even sending decent long balls forward and winning second balls and just fighting for things. We were just scuffing it out to play, losing in our own half, just giving free kicks away. There was nothing we had on the ball because the players didn't know what to do with it. You weren't even told to go long, because why would you go long to a lone striker in the 5-4-1? There was none of that. There was the game plan literally for the past 4 or 5 months has been jet the ball as hard as you can into Damari Gray and just ask him to do something with it, and hoping the 6 times in the game he can do something with it. And that's not a sustainable way to run a team, I'm afraid. And he should have been drilling the defence. He should have been getting that sorted, packing it in, pack the midfield. But he didn't. And his own stubbornness can be exemplified through the set-piece situation, because Everton has a system, methodology last season with Carlo and David Ancelotti, where we'd hardly concede from set plays. And day one, he got rid of it for his own methods that worked 20 years ago in Valencia. And Rafa's Rafa, and he's gone now. And God, it's just horrific. But I'm not sitting here celebrating saying he's gone, because we'll talk about it. The list of contenders to replace him are on the same par of him in terms of just being crap.
Well, I think that's a good way of summing up Benitez is crap. We'll finish up there anyway.
Is anyone disagreeing with me when I'm saying he's the worst manager we've ever had? And not
at all. He's easily the worst manager.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, just an absolute shocking appointment and a shocking man. Like, he's got this image with the Reds that he's this charming gentleman, but he's one horrible shit-staring rat. He's gone into Everton and kicked people out of jobs because he's a control freak and they disagreed with him. And that's not a man with high class. That, for me, I'm sorry. Forget the selling players. Any manager's entitled to run a club how they want for as long as they're in situ. But to be getting rid of people who had nothing to do with his remit, like medical staff and scouts and things like that, I'm sorry, mate. Piss off. You're a horror.
Half the football club have gone. Most of the football team, the day-to-day running of the football club, most of the people in any kind of position have left the football club. And he's gone now and we're left with nothing.
The shell of a club, isn't it?
There's no one left to really, unless we're going to have to. We've got no one on the board except fucking Sharpie.
Anyway, we'll get into that discussion as we've got a lot more to discuss, like I say, throughout the podcast. But this is the end of this segment. Let us know your opinions on Rafa Benitez if you dare. Give this video a like. And also subscribe for more content. And until then, guys, thanks for tuning in on the Toffee Blues.